You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
I look good. I got big energy every day. Let's go!
And he is dicked.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together, we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wolldog, sitting with my buddies, Kev, Hug, and Duggan.
Happy Friday, guys.
Happy Friday, everybody. And Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
What's up, bro chachos?
Hey.
Hey.
All right,
man.
folks, got a great episode lined up for you today. We've got a fantastic interview. Our second active Charger interviewed this week, today, for this episode, Breiden Fehoko.
Yeah, it was a great interview.
Crazy.
You guys are going to love it. It's fun.
I
Super
cannot wait to see it. I really can't wait to see it because he was the Hard Knocks favorite that we all loved and really hoped to make the team. And there was that one moment where they released him. It was just like, oh God, no, please come back.
Yeah.
Come back,
Ralphie.
Yeah.
Come back. Brady, come back.
Brady,
come back.
And blessedly, he did. He did come back, and so he is a part of the team as of right now. And I can't wait to check out this interview. But first and foremost, let's look around the league about what's been going on. There's been chitter chatter here and there. There's the talk about Davante Adams. Keenan Allen reaching out, going like, "Hey, buddy, come on over here." Whether or not that actually happens, we got to wait and see because the Aaron Rodgers business has been up and down. It's all over the place. Yeah.
Can you imagine a Davante Adams, Keenan Allen 1-2 punch?
No, that would be so impossible to cover those guys. Who gets who's number one?
You don't. You just go left corner, right corner, and line up.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, and they're clearly friends too because they've been like tweeting at each other and stuff. And like a while back, in the summer, he said, Davante Adams says, "Just want to remind y'all that me and Keenan Allen would go for 300 yards a game."
Exactly.
I don't know how to say this. I bet enjoy your night. I blew it. I blew it.
Yeah. No, the talk of Davante coming to the team has been going for a while, and especially like when the question of Mike Williams, whether we picked up his option or not, and now that we've got him for this year, but maybe next year we get Davante Adams. But with the way things are going in Green Bay, it's just such a mess.
It's so hard to tell what's happening.
You're walking into a burning building and you don't know what to be concerned about first. And then looking at some other teams, this might not necessarily have any effect on the Chargers, but it very well still could. The Houston Texans have been talking about possibly trading Deshaun Watson. Now, when all their drama went down, they were very like, no, he's our guy. He's our quarterback. You can't have
He's a
him.
franchise.
Now they're like, well,
We'll take
what do you give us for
3 first rounders and everything else. Yeah, they definitely did a U-turn on that after all the drama surrounding him and all of his massages.
Yeah, so that still needs to play out in Houston. But as of right now, it seems like Tyrod Taylor, as long as everybody takes care of his lungs over there, he's going to be the guy.
Just don't go to the doctors. Just don't go to the doctors.
Don't trust any
take
doctors.
a year off.
Yeah.
And Deshaun, goes to the Broncos somehow, and all those charges find a way to disappear, and he's.
What a weird thing if Denver did that. You're the Denver Broncos. You've got Drew Lock, which nobody seems to be all that happy about. No. And so you go and you pick up Teddy Bridgewater, and you're like, okay, that's at least a minor upgrade.
It's
and
like
then
us
if they were
getting Tyrod last year.
Yeah, but to go from, okay, we're going to pick up Teddy Bridgewater, and then, okay, we're going to pick up Deshaun Watson. It's just like, how many quarterbacks are you going to pick up?
Bring them
No,
all.
You can't play them all at the same time, Denver.
Well, last year they had a wide receiver playing quarterback, so I think they need the depth.
There you
with the
go.
COVID stuff.
There you go.
Well, it's just like, how lucky are we to have like 3 quarterbacks essentially in the last 20 years?
Right.
It's
pretty crazy.
It is pretty wild. So, and then looking also around the league, obviously COVID is still a big concern. The concern about, players getting vaccinated. And for a hot minute, the Chargers were on the hot seat as far as being one of the teams that had the fewest amount of players vaccinated. And it just came out recently from Tom Pelissaro. The NFL just informed clubs that if a game cannot be rescheduled during the 18-week season in 2021 due to a COVID outbreak among unvaccinated players, the team with the outbreak will forfeit and be credited with a loss for playoff seeding per sources. Massive implications.
They're not messing around.
They're throwing their weight
this
around
year.
a little bit. Yeah, they're forcing their hand, like everyone's hand.
Yeah.
There's some coaches that have already been fired because they won't get vaccinated because the top tier coaches, if you're not, they won't allow you to be there. They won't allow you to do it. So they're really taking a hard stance on it. They want the season to go through, and this is the way to do it.
There's some players coming out saying they might retire. Like, I don't want to be that odd man out. The NFL stance. I'm considering my future in the NFL.
Right.
It's just crazy the world that we live in right now.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I understand both sides of it, and I understand the NFL mandating it because we can't have 2 years of no fan football, and we got it. They got to recoup some of these losses because I'm sure that they've had some pretty massive losses by not having fans at the stadiums in this last year. So, and I know that there are other stipulations as well, as far as like if they have to forfeit that game. I'm pretty sure it affects their draft picks as well, as far as like where they are positioned in the draft, as far as getting their.
And there's
picks.
like a $15,000 fine for if you're not vaccinated every time you break protocol.
Yeah, there's
$15,000. Boom.
There's fines. Players don't get paid. Like
It's a lot.
There's a lot of big issues. So, blessedly, the Chargers, I believe, let's see, Daniel Popper says that the Chargers had a dramatic vaccination rate turnaround and are now approaching the 70% mark. The team believes they'll hit 85% at some point during training camp. So,
step in the right direction. Because what happens?
Yeah.
What happens to some of these guys that are on the bubble that don't want to get it?
Right.
Like,
Oh yeah,
their
they're cut.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. You're gonna bring in guys that aren't gonna put your team at risk of getting an infection and not being able to play.
Right.
So it's a tricky year, especially for they're rocking a hard place for some of those guys.
All eyes are on the NFL because they're taking a very strong stance in all this. Like, and now, like, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Frank Reich was just contracted COVID and he was double vaccinated. So how does that affect? Like, does he get fined or
no? It's
he's not
if you're vaccinated because there's no he has no symptoms, and I guess it's only a 48-hour quarantine, and you have to have 2 negative tests.
So that's the same. That's the same protocol as last year.
No, yeah,
similar.
No, it's 2 weeks for non like 10 days or 2 weeks for non-vaccinated players.
Right, because he doesn't show any symptoms.
This is going to be impossible to track.
Well, different teams are coming out with different ways as far as tracking. I think I saw that Tampa Bay guys are going to be wearing, if you've got a red wristband, you're vaccinated. If you got a yellow one, you're not vaccinated. So, because they got to know like who's vaccinated and who's not. And I mean, blessedly for Frank Reich, obviously we don't want anybody to contract COVID, but because he was double vaccinated and him not showing any symptoms is a testament to him getting vaccinated because he's not showing those symptoms. He's got those antibodies in his body. Yeah, he got it, but he's not bedridden and, possibly leaving this world because of it. So hopefully these guys all get vaccinated. We'd love to see all the players out there and just make it happen, guys.
We'll see how it goes. It's a crazy year.
It's crazy. We'll see. Yeah. NFL's just the leading the charge, I guess.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. All right, folks, let's move it on to our next segment here. We've talked about it. It's a fantastic interview, folks. It's our Bolt Insight with Breiden Fehoko. Let's go.
Do it.
As soon as that clock starts, your ass is mine.
When I met Justin Herbert, man, that dude is big as hell.
The goal is to just keep it rolling.
Come in hype because we have a lot of things to be excited about.
All right, guys, we're here with another Bolt Insight. And oh my God, we have Breiden Fehoko. What is going on, Breiden?
Man, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited. man, I'm ready to just, get going. Camp's going to be here within the next week. And, I'm pretty sure everybody's excited for the season to start.
No, for sure, man. So that great lead into my first question. Like, we were first introduced to you on Hard Knocks last year. So what was it like going into your first NFL camp with the Hard Knocks crew all around you and film and everything? Because you were kind of a featured part of that show.
It's very different because just everything about the NFL was a lot different from college. In college, everything is so hardcore. And don't get me wrong, the NFL is the same way. But I got to the NFL and it was like, around a bunch of grown men, guys got kids and families and stuff. And so a lot of the things you're used to in college is very different in NFL. And then having the Hard Knocks crew out there it's like you have to get used to it after a while, because when we first met as a team, like on Zoom and stuff, before we went on the field, they're like, hey, we're going to be around, the Hard Knocks producers and the film crews. Like, hey, we're going to be around, don't mind us, y'all just do what y'all want to do. And we'll just be around. And, we're out there doing individual drills with Coach Giff and stuff. And then, we're going through the bags and stuff. There's like a big boom stand just hanging right there. And it's like hard to ignore. And then, guys like Joey and stuff are like piecing out for the camera. And it was cool. We got used to it after like the first week. And what was even more cooler about it was like we got to know like the Hard Knocks crew personally. And like the film crew and all that have been doing it for like 20 plus years or however long they've been doing it, they would tell us stories about the different teams. Like I grew up watching the Hard Knocks, like when the old Ravens were on Hard Knocks with like Shannon Sharp, Tony Saragusa, all those guys. And they would tell us stories about how they were. And it was really cool to just build that relationship and have them around.
Yeah, it was awesome. And you were very much a featured part of that in the end. And like, it was kind of amazing because right around that time, we were able to get your dad on, Billy the Warrior. He came on our podcast and we chatted with him for a minute. And it was such a cool moment at the end of that series. Like, how important is your family and the success you have? Because it seems like you guys are so tight and you have a really great family.
Man, it's awesome, to have a really tight-knit family because that's really what I depend on a lot as a player and just as an athlete. My family is pretty much my backbone, my everything. Growing up, all I ever knew was we moved together as one. And even to this day, with my family, my parents, my brothers, my girlfriend, we all kind of glue together and everybody kind of supports me. And it's very important to me to have a great support system because without that, I think as an athlete, you're not able to perform to the fullest of your abilities. They continuously support me, whether, I play with the Chargers or whether I was playing at LSU or whatever I decide to do in life. And I think that's important because not a lot of players or not a lot of guys have that support system. A lot of guys kind of feel like they have to do it on their own. And it's cool and all, right? I'm fine with, I can go out there, get this thing done on my own, but there's some things in life that I'm not going to be able to do on my own. I'm going to need to depend on people and lean on people. And it's so great to have a family-oriented, background and have people that are, in my corner supporting me that I can depend on.
Yeah, it's so important and it's special and it's cool getting a little insight on that in the Zoom and you guys interacting. You got a cool tight group over there, man.
Yeah.
So, one last thing about the Hard Knocks, like it was really cool to see you and the kind of D-line come together. Like Linval Joseph kind of took you under his wing a little bit. Like, what was it like working with Linval? And like, just to follow up on that, like how good can our defensive line be this year?
Man, Linval is like my big brother. I mean, he texts me almost every other day, asking how my weight is, making sure I'm not getting too heavy. And I'm asking him how his weight is, making sure he's not getting too heavy. But we always send like, our workout videos to each other, consistently motivating each other. And he just reiterates like, just to keep working hard as a young guy myself, to keep pushing the throttle every day. There's times where, you get to the NFL and you feel like, I'm good. I can just ease up a little bit. But, he consistently sends me reminders about, being the best guy out there, being the best guy, to even be better than him. And he's been such a blessing in my young career because he doesn't have to do what he has to do. He doesn't have to take me under his wing. He's already multiple 10 plus years in, made, I'm not going to put his money out there, but he's made a really good amount of money playing this game, playing that position we play. And he could be out there just, collecting a check, but every day he's out there. Hey, Brady, let's go hop on the elliptical today. oh, hey, Breiden, let's go hop. Let's go do some arms today. Certain things he does that no other guys or no other vets, some vets will do, some vets won't, but he just does things like, hey, Breiden, let's go eat today. He'll come pick me up. When I first got there last year to camp, I didn't have a car. I was staying in the team hotel. Let's go grab some food. I really respect and have a ton of love for guys like that. And to reiterate on how our D-line will look, I have so much faith in our D-line. Not just because of Coach Staley's scheme, which I won't disclose to the public, but I have a ton of respect because I've seen these guys work in the offseason, from Linval to Big Till, JJ, Christian Covington, Cortez, Joe, TJ, all of us, man, we've been putting in work from day one. They were like, hey, OTAs is mandatory, voluntary, but we made it mandatory as a D-line, saying we're all going to show up, and we all showed up.
That's awesome.
We all wanted to come show up, and we didn't have to be there, but hey, let's show up, get some work in. Let's go work with Coach Giff. Let's go do extra stuff. Let's go learn the playbook inside out. Let's go do drills on our own. Let's go hit the sled. Things like that. It wasn't just about competing with each other, but it was more so, man, let's be the best group we can be. And you know what? Hey, if so, this room is changed in the fall. At least we've developed the identity and developed the foundation for whoever's to continue and carry this torch throughout the season. And man, I'm happy to be working with those guys. I'm happy to go to work with those guys every day. And I'm excited to go compete with those guys and compete against other teams in the preseason, which I'm happy we get to play games this year.
Yeah, right.
And play next to those guys. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. We're so pumped for you guys, so pumped for this defense, so pumped for everything. Like the energy around Chargers, the fans, we're just so excited for this year. So we're pumped for you guys. We can't wait for you guys to show out and play some awesome Charger football. So
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So we're gonna be back in the stadium. The fans are gonna be there. It's gonna be a different environment than last year. Like, so are you gonna be able to bring that haka to us, dude? Are you gonna be able to get us going for these games? Like, what's it gonna be like for playing in front of all these fans?
Like, I think the team and just in general, like every NFL team, man, every pro sports team, just the energy from the fan base, like it's so different. You watch the NBA this year and you see how different those games were with fans in the stadium,
totally
in arenas. It's so much of a different ball game. Home court advantage. Now you have home field advantage. Like, man, we want teams to come to SoFi this year and be like, geez, these Charger fans are ruthless, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that. And SoFi is such a beautiful place. Like, I played in really great stadiums, and SoFi is like, every week we drive in and man, the scenery outside and people think like, wow, it's in Inglewood, California, like Inglewood. But when you get there and you see like the palm trees and you see like the river or whatever it is out front, the ponds and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you walk in and you look up and SoFi's huge and it has trees coming inside and they got the cannon up there. Like, dude, it's so crazy. We can't wait for the fans to be a part of that. Like, and for them to, hear the crowd noise and like on a third down and we need to stop and whoever we're playing and they can't even hear the snap count because, the fans are going crazy and Joey's hauling butt off the edge to get a sack. Like, these are things we can't wait for as a team.
Oh, likewise, man. I can't wait. We got our season tickets this year, so we'll be there. We'll be ready to rock, brother. We'll be ready. So, another fun question. I'm like preparing for this. I realized like, oh damn, like you played with Joe Burrow at LSU, and now you're playing with Justin Herbert. Are like these quarterbacks just following you? These amazing quarterbacks just following you places, or what?
It's crazy. You actually missed one. I actually played with Pat Mahomes.
Okay.
I played, it's crazy. I played with all three of those guys, and all three of those guys are just, I don't even have to talk much about them. I mean, they're special players. They're generational guys. I was talking the other day with my girlfriend and we're like, and she actually mentioned, she was like, wow, you actually played with like three of the best quarterbacks. Like,
yeah.
And she was just being biased because I played with them, but she's like, you actually played with three of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I was like, yeah, you know what? It's crazy. Those guys are like, one thing they all share similar characteristics is they're elite competitors. I just remember Pat in practice, as early in my career at Texas Tech before I transferred, was just such an elite competitor, like in fall camp. And then when we got to like practices, he would be doing stuff. Like this is like the early times of when I knew Pat was, when everybody knew Pat was like the dog, you know, and he was sidearm, no look throwing, you know, 60-yard bombs in practice. And this is when we were like, as a defense in practice, like, man, we ain't got no shot. Like, who's going to defend this?
Yeah.
Then I got to LSU, man, and watching Joe work, come to work every day. One thing I admire about Joe is he is a tough son of a gun. Man, after our junior year when we won in the Peach Bowl, I mean, not the Peach Bowl, in Arizona, it was the PlayStation Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl. We knew we had a good leader on our team because we ran like a West Coast offense where we were under center. We try to run a lot of wide zone and try to take shots down the field kind of offense. Everybody knew what type of quarterback he was. I had friends at Ohio State were like, man, y'all are getting a dog in Joe. And he knew that the offense didn't fit his strengths, which was throwing the ball and being a field general. And then in 2019, when we changed our whole offensive schematics, like just to see Joe take control of that offense in that offseason and knew how to be patient, that his time was coming. And I remember in team meetings, like before the season, you know, me, Rashard Lawrence, Joe Burrow, we'd sit next to each other. It was me, Rashard would sit right here, and Joe would sit right next to Rashard. And Joe would just be like, man, I can't wait to play this year. Like, we're going to surprise a lot of people with our offense. And, you know, being there, like being a defensive guy, like, man, we're going to beat down you guys today in fall camp. You know, listen, like, man, we got out the first day of fall camp, and like, I'm talking about Joe was just torching the defense. Like, man, this is when we first got a taste of like, geez, the SEC is going to be in for a rude awakening. I mean, he was throwing darts like on slant routes, on 7 cuts and out routes, and at the like he was talking trash too. He was like, "This is the defense you guys are going to run," and it was so hilarious. It brought us so much closer as a team. And I mean, you've seen the result. We went 15-0, won a national championship.
Yeah,
you know, the best team ever in college football. Just my personal opinion. And then I got last year with the Chargers, right, as a rookie, and Justin. To be around him, to be a first-round pick and to be the guy he was, you know, to take over the helm, Kansas City week 2, and have success and have continued success as the season went on, he was probably one of the most humblest guys I've ever met in my life. I've seen a lot of guys change just based off of success, and Justin was one of those guys that he's always remained the same. It's so funny. Every time me and Justin, or he posts something on social media, or I post something on social media, we're always like commenting Key and Peele quotes. You know, that's how me and Justin kind of got like connected with each other. Was we were at dinner one night last year in fall camp, and all the rookies were kind of we're talking, we're just on a table, and you know, everybody just kind of chilling. I'm on my phone and I'm watching Key and Peele. He's like, and he starts quoting the rest of the scene. And I'll look at him and we start laughing, and we just kind of just start going from there. And man, he's such a great dude, and people see him as the great quarterback and as the young rookie of the year, future generational talent type of guy. But what makes him special is he's the same guy every day, win or lose. He's the same. You're going to get the same Justin Herbert. I mean, he's the first one in the facility, last one out, literally. Like last year, we'd go home, and because Gabe Neighbors and Nate Gilliam lived with him last year. And so I would get back to my apartment last year, and I'd text them. I'd be like, hey, are y'all trying to go grab some dinner? And this is like, no kidding, this is like 8:30, 8:45 at night. And we had got done with practice at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So the latest somebody would stay up at the facility is maybe like 4 o'clock if they were still in the hot tub, ice tub, stuff like that. And so I text Nate and Gabe, and I'm like, hey, man, y'all want to go get some dinner? Because it's kind of getting late. And they're like, yeah, well, we would, but Justin's not here right now. And I'm like, what do you mean Justin's not there? Like, well, he's still up at the facility watching film. I'm like, y'all are kidding right now. And so I text Justin. I'm like, hey, you up at the facility? He's like, yeah, man, y'all go ahead. y'all go ahead. Go get some dinner. I'm going to be here like another hour. And it was 8:45.
Whoa.
And this guy was just in there, just watching film, dedicated to the game. And man, he's a hard worker. Along with Joe, along with Pat, all three of those guys, I was really blessed to be able to run some great quarterbacks. I'm excited to see, where Joe and Justin, when Joe comes back this year from injury, and of course Justin year 2, capping off a Rookie of the Year, and Pat, of course, doing what he's doing in Kansas City. But yeah, man, those are some great memories, great stories about those guys.
That's awesome. Like, what are your thoughts on, you have Justin now going to beat those guys. You get to face those, your former quarterbacks and beat up on them. What are your thoughts on that? Maybe get a sack, put those guys in the ground. What are we doing?
It's fun because I know each of those guys with Joe and Pat, they're gonna try to do their best, man. And that's the great thing about football is you get to be the ultimate competitor. You get to line it up the next play and you get to get after it, whether you're a defensive guy or offensive guy. And I think I know those two guys are going to give us their best, shot come game day. And it's such a blessing to be able to line up and compete against them, and hopefully give our chance the better percentages and the better outcome that day.
I love it. All right, cool. So kind of a fun hypothetical question for you. So you're the youngest of 4 brothers. So here's a question. Which brother would you take into a fight?
Wow. Man, you're going to put me on the spot here.
I have a follow-up one that'll redeem the other brother. So what's your first one?
All right. So my first initial thought is to take my brother Whitley, he's the oldest of all 4 of us.
Alpha older brother. I know. I got that. I got my little brother as my co-host on this podcast, so I know it is.
So Whitley's the oldest, right? And he's also the biggest.
Is he?
And Whitley is the most rugged out of all 4 of us.
Love it.
And so that's my first initial thought. Sam is very quiet and reserved.
Those are the scary ones, though. You got to be careful with those ones.
It is, because you don't know what you're getting on a certain day with Sam. The thing about my brother VJ, who's right above me, is VJ is like, me and VJ growing up are like this. Like, he's been like my soul protector. Like, he's my ride or die. Like, VJ's like my guy. Like, he'll be my best man at my wedding. That's just how it is. Like, me and VJ are tight. Like, and that's how Sam and Whitley are because of the age differences. You know?
Sure.
But if I did have to take somebody with me, I'd probably take my older brother Whitley, just because him being the oldest out of all 4 of us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, he knows, like, just being the alpha, the oldest. That's his job.
Old man strength. You got extra old man strength.
That's what I tell him, man. He's Whit's 33 now, and I'm like, dude, you got that old man strength. And he works for the plumbers union in Hawaii, and all he does is all they do is they bend cast iron pipes every day and pipe bits, and like every time I shake his hand, he's always trying to squeeze me. He's like, man, you need to get your grip stronger, boy. I got some pretty thick hands and forearms, and I think I'm pretty strong. But man, he just squeezes it, and I'm like, geez, he's like, that's the old man strength, son.
I love it, dude. I love it. All right, so my follow-up to that. If we get your 4 brothers, we get your pops, how many Raider fans could you take down in one sitting?
Oh, I want to say it's got to be like a 50-to-1 ratio.
I love it. Good answer.
So, I mean, 50 times what? 4 of us and my dad, 5. Shoot. We 250. Oh, I mean, it'd probably be more, maybe 100-to-1 ratio. Honestly.
I love it. All you guys back to back, just like you can't penetrate. I love it.
Look, I'm telling you, it's crazy because it's like, they got all these spikes on and all this stuff. Like, man, come on, like, cut the theatrics. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't make you scarier. You're a Raiders fan.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Okay, so I got 2 more questions for you. One, we kind of reached out to some of our the fans that listen to the show and see if they had a question for you. And one of them did. His name is his username is Big Red Bolts Fan. He asks, I'm curious if Breiden has worked on any kind of sack dance for this year.
I have. I'm interested to showcase it. I don't want to bring it out because I think it can go viral. You know, like one of my good friends, Justin Jefferson, he did the gritty. He started doing the gritty when he started scoring, like in college, and it went viral. So, like, if I talk about it now, I think somebody might end up seeing this, hearing it, and it might go viral. So, I'm gonna save it until I get a sack, and I think it's about to go viral. Man, if you get a sack as a nose guard, it's like bonus. It's like getting another plate of food that you didn't ask for. Somebody's like, man, I'm full. Here, you can take this. I didn't even eat it. Like, hey, that's what a sack feels like to a nose guard. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Okay, my last question for you actually comes from somebody you know. Been interacting with Billy, seeing his like getting jacked videos, working out every day. That guy's a monster. His question for you is, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear champions do things without people watching?
That's something we talked about as a kid. My dad's always prided us on working when nobody else is watching. You got to put in the work when the lights are out, because if you want to shine when the lights are on, you know, there's always going to be that one person that is always going to work harder than you, is always going to be faster than you, is always going to be stronger than you. And you always got to work. Outwork your opponent every day. And I've always believed in myself, and I was never the fastest guy, or I was never the strongest guy wherever I went, but I always try to pride myself in being the hardest worker in the room. Like even to this day, with the Chargers, I always try to pride myself on you know, first one in, last one out, or doing whatever I can to give myself an edge every day. You know, champions being able to do things without people watching is a saying and a phrase that, you know, you have to be able to put in the work, like I said earlier, when the lights are out, to be able to shine when the lights are on. Because, I mean, you can't just strap up your helmet on any given Sunday and think you're going to go out there and play the run to the best and be able to rush the passer against top-tier line. That's not going to happen, you know. And it's crazy that a lot of the guys on the team share the same characteristics. Not the exact same quote, but a lot of guys, like I was talking about Justin earlier, being like the first one and last one out. Like a lot of these guys, it's so great that the culture we have, you don't have to, like for OTAs, you know, we didn't have to text guys to be like, hey, come out, man. Like come out to OTAs, man. Like the first day of OTAs, everybody was there. Like everybody wanted to win. Everybody wants this culture to be developed in a way to where, man, we have like superior talent here. You know, let's put in the work now so that when fall rolls around, which it is, it's about to be here next week, we can get things rolling. And that's such a great quote. I live by it every day. I pride myself on it, and I take it with me wherever I go.
I love it, man. It's a great quote. Something I think all of us can use and put that into our everyday life. So that's awesome, man. Breiden, I can't tell you how much we appreciate it, man. It was so great meeting you and chatting with you, getting all these stories, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Always, man. I had a blast. Whenever I'm excited to be back, man. Hopefully after we win the Super Bowl.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Wow. Dude, there was so much going on in that interview.
Dude, how much I would pay to see him and his brothers take down 200.
I want to see Billy. I don't know if you've seen him work out, dude. He is a beast. I would love to see him just like, he'd be like a guy, just like a subtle jab would just knock you over.
No doubt. Absolutely. And Breiden, don't worry about the spikes of the Raiders. They're like rubber, dude. Like they're not going to do, they're not poking nothing.
They're styrofoam. There's nothing there.
Yeah. And that guy with the gorilla mask, spoiler, he's not a real gorilla. So
spoiler alert.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But man, what a lot of cool stuff. Dude, how awesome is it that we have Linval Joseph?
Yeah,
I think that's the reason why Minnesota fans are so salty lately. They're like, you took Linval Joseph away from us, so we're going to be mad about your quarterback. Dude, what a leader.
There's some great insight, too. Like all the stuff about Justin staying so late last year and like missing out on all of that. And just, we always talk about the culture. What is the culture like? What is this like? And he's like, we all want to be there. We want this to be amazing. So he gave us so much. He's such a, I'm sure he has a podcast or something because he knows how to talk, man. He's a great storyteller. We were so lucky to have him on.
That was so awesome, dude. Like, and if he wasn't a fan favorite after Hard Knocks, he's a fan favorite now after this interview. Like,
I'm pulling for him hard.
Absolutely. I'm pulling for him to get a sack. I want to see what this dance is. I
know,
mean,
right?
if you're talking about it going viral, man, this has got to be something pretty freaking special. So
it's got to be good.
Let's get Breiden another plate of food and let's get this brother a sack, please. All right, folks. Well, after that interview, it's time to follow it up with our next segment, Coach's Classroom. That's right, folks. It's time for Coach's Classroom. And this week we reach into the bag of questions and pull one out from Noah Littman. Noah, I believe you asked this question last week, but we were so high on Austin Eckler, we wanted to ride that Ecclesode train into the into the sunset. So we held on to this question from last week because it's a good question, and it goes something like this. I have a question for Coach. I've watched some videos since the past, and most of them said that Herbert's biggest weakness is disguised coverages and not having time to let plays develop because of a terrible O-line. Could we do a Coach's Classroom on how Herbert will improve even more next year? Asking for a sassy male German Speedo model. So there you go, Noah Littman. Okay, so disguised coverages. I don't even know what this means I guess we've kind of talked a little bit about it with Staley as far as like getting a lot of those guys to play multiple positions and you don't know who's coming kind of thing. Is that what it's referring to?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So
okay, there you go. Well, then maybe I do know something about it.
Yeah. So when the quarterback goes up to the line of scrimmage, he knows the routes. If it's a pass play or if it's a run play, he knows what's supposed to happen. So say it's a pass play, he knows the route concepts, who's going where. So he'll look and immediately scan the defense to see what coverage they're in. Because if they're in cover 2, if they're in cover 4, if they're in cover 6, if they're in cover 1, it'll adjust who his first look is. So if he sees cover 3 and he knows his route concepts, he goes, okay, I'm going to look at Keenan right away. Or Keenan's route should be really good as long as I look him off and then come back. I can pull the safety, so on and so forth. So if you just line up and you run what you show, so the defense lines up, you could tell it's cover 3 and they run cover 3. A good quarterback will be able to pretty quickly pick you apart. So a defense, a lot of the time, they're not just going to line up and look very predictable for what they're going to run. They'll mix it up. They'll run 2 high safeties, even though they're running cover 3, or they'll run 1 high safety, and at the last second, another safety will drop back and they'll run cover 2. So there's movement at the snap and just before the snap in order to try to really, it's only playing mind games with the quarterback. You're just trying to confuse, like this question states, those rookie, younger type quarterbacks that if they have too much going on in their head, they don't know their playbook well enough, and a last second move, they're not going to be able to go, oh, as I'm snapping the ball, they're now cover 3. This is where I need to go. So the hope is that it will confuse them. Now, defeating a disguised coverage, I kind of was just brainstorming, thinking about it. There's a couple of things that happen as you go further into the league, the longer you're doing it. And I don't think that it's specific to the NFL. And that's where I think, obviously, NFL defenses are more complex, but that would be doing a disservice to defensive coordinators in college because they hide coverages as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to disguise stuff. You're not just going to get what would line up and go. So Justin's done this for a while, but some of the things in defeating a disguised coverage, one, you have to watch a lot of film because even in my short time, I watched a couple of plays from the Chiefs. It looks like they're pretty much always lined up in cover 2. They have 2 high safeties and they run a lot of man. So like just the more you watch film, you know situations. 2, you got to know the coordinator. If you're playing against a Gus Bradley defense, you're going to get cover 3 a lot. Even if they show too high, they're probably going to work down into something that ends up with a 1 high safety. It's just most of the time. So the more you're around, that's why Phillip Rivers, however, 17 years in the NFL, he knows the coordinators. He knows the way that they like to do stuff. He knows the terminology that people use. And that is very much different from the NFL to college level. So getting used to terminology that defenses are using and hearing them call it out. The third thing is knowing personnel, right? So you know that if not Derwin James, that's what's so so valuable about a guy that could do so many things. But you put a Jaleel Adai and you put him one high up top as a free safety, you know, likely something's going to happen. Somebody's going to move. Something's going to change. So you see guys out of position and something that wouldn't be comfortable or effective for them to do. You have a good idea that something's going to shift. Number 4, and I think this is what's going to help most this year and him defeating disguise coverages, is getting to the line really quick. You're not sitting around in the huddle waiting for personnel changes, making play calls slowly. It's, hey, get in here. Let's get the call. Get to the line. Give me 10, 15 seconds at the line of scrimmage so I can survey what's going on. I can see what's happening. Give me enough time to change a play. And then finally, number 5, you can motion a lot. Motion, if you get to the line of scrimmage quick, you can bring motions. If you're trying to disguise coverage and teams are shifting and motioning, it gets really hard to disguise. Eventually, you're just going to have to show your hand. So the faster you get to the line of scrimmage, the more help you have in being able to defeat a disguise coverage. Because if you just line up, you have 3 or 4 seconds to survey and then go, and then they shift, it gets difficult. So the quicker you get to the line of scrimmage, the easier it gets. So I pulled up a couple of clips here. Normally we have NFL Game Pass. There's some technical difficulties today. Apparently they're getting ready for next season, so they don't have
whatever
any
that
clips
means.
available.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. I have a couple clips here that I just randomly found up online, but I will be able to show you what I'm trying to talk about. So right here, you can see the Chiefs are lined up. Kevin, this is a good quiz. What are you expecting when you see 2 high safeties and corners pressed up on the line of scrimmage?
Man coverage.
Cover 2. Good try though.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this segment.
Oh, it's my favorite. So normally, if you could have man, that's a possibility. It could be cover 2 man, but in this situation, early in the game, 1st and 10, you're not likely to be in a cover 2 man. That's more of a very much conservative. They're going to throw the ball, so let's make sure we shut it down. When you're playing the Broncos, you're not going to run much cover 2 man because they want to run the ball a lot. So you're thinking that they're in cover 2 here based on the 2 high safeties and corners up. So that's what Drew Lock is seeing. And then as the play starts to develop, you'll see there's a couple of things that could tip you off. One, you have a linebacker walked up looking like he's ready to blitz. If he were to blitz, now cover 2 gets difficult because you have a zone here for this corner. You have a zone for this corner. And then you have a zone for this slot. And then you leave this one linebacker with this big island in the middle. So anytime you blitz out of cover 2, something gets really, really wide open. So when Drew sees that, as you become more and more seasoned, you think, all right, they're going to blitz out of cover 2. I know that the Chiefs like to run a lot of man. That's probably not what they're going to stay in. So you'll see as the play develops, as soon as that ball is snapped, you see the safety start to move. So this safety starts to back up, and this safety here starts to drop down into the box. So they showed cover 2. Drew thinks cover 2, and then they shift into a cover 1. So this safety's going back. He's got deep everything, and this safety was eyeing this tight end. You're going to see him run down and hug up on the tight end. So it's just a way of showing one thing, and then you get something else completely different. Okay, and then there's a second clip that I want to look at. It's a very similar situation, but it shows how you can use disguises to also bring pressure. So you can loop in the disguised coverage into a rush. So right here, Kevin, again, very similar look. Here's a layup for you. What are you expecting? Coverage.
Cover 2.
Perfect. So you got 2 high up here.
Hercules.
You do have the corner up here pressed. This is your other corner. There's what we call a nub set. So there's a tight end and no wide receiver.
I like this.
So this is the number 1. Yeah, nub sets. So there's no wide receiver. This is a nub set. So that's why the corners walked in so far. But this is going to be the same exact look. As soon as the ball is snapped, you're going to see this safety start to move back. This safety is going to come down, and he's man-to-man here on the number 2. But what they do is there's a little bit of a wrinkle here because this outside guy who was manned up, right? They had him manned up last time. Now he's going to blitz off the edge to bring more pressure. So not only are you building in a disguise in your coverage, but you're also bringing a disguise in your pressure. so you can watch as this play starts to go. You'll be able to see. So you have 2 high. It looks like cover 2. That's what Drew sees. And then boom, everything starts to develop. He's now locked up. He's locked up. This corner was trying to be locked up on the tight end. He's now playing middle safety. But you got that pressure off the edge, which adds that little wrinkle to hopefully create a big play. So yeah, this is absolutely something that Justin, having a year under his belt to be able to learn, just get to the line quicker. No coordinators, especially in your division in the AFC West. It's going to be huge for his development and not hitting that sophomore slump. I think this is just adds to why he's going to be even better this year.
So in that play that you just showed, what is there something that could tip you off as a seasoned quarterback that would make you go, oh, they're disguising their coverage? Was there something in the motion, in the placement of the players that would have tipped him off, and why they ended up running the ball instead of trying to throw it?
Well, Denver ran the ball because they don't trust Drew Lock, so they're not going to throw the ball. But yeah, that's something that I don't know. I haven't watched enough film to be able to pick up tendencies,
right?
But that is something that absolutely they would have seen. I don't know if this is a different player than who they had on that last play.
Okay,
maybe it's a different personnel. Like, hey, this guy's a really good blitzer. If you see him lined up in the slot and 1st and 10, and there's an obvious man situation,
right?
Expect him to come. Now that could be a part of the game plan, and that's what your coach has to help you with, and what Justin has to do in watching a lot of film. But yeah, absolutely, those are the types of things you're looking for is little tendencies in personnel and alignment. But I don't know. It could be, hey, this guy, he's looking in when it's cover 2, but his eyes are always locked on the receiver when they're running man. Or, hey, his spacing, normally in a nub set, if it's man, he's going to come over and they're going to let a safety stay over the top of the tight end if it's man-to-man. So there's always those types of little personnel shifts and adjustments. And, hey, why did the corner stay here on nub? Maybe they're bringing something and this safety's rolling down, so they left. And so there's so much of that tendency stuff that obviously Justin is going to only get better and better at watching, especially with the teams you play every year, twice a year.
Awesome. Well, there you go, Noah. Coach is at least giving you some idea, but it seems like, when teams bring in wrinkles, I mean, it's amazing to me that these guys have to cram as much information into their head just to run a play and just to be able to try to sniff out what some of these defenses are. Yeah. Like to take every player into account and who's in what position and what, okay, so if they're in these positions, they could be running this, but they might also be running this, and just having to make those quick split-second decisions, baffling to me. I would crumble on the field and cry every. It's probably better that I never played football in high school, because it would be a sad sight to see. But there you go, Noah. Coach broke it down for you, and we all learned a little something today. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the Charger Chat. But before we go, we had a couple of things that we wanted to make mention. Number one, bit of news dropped in between the recording and editing of this episode. Rashawn Slater and Trey McKitty both have signed their contracts, so we now have all of our draft picks signed, which is great. Now everybody can just go to work because they're taken care of by the organization and just focus on being the best that they can be. Number two, those of you that follow us on Twitter have noticed that one of our favorite people in the world, Jen Mills, has a giveaway that she's got going on right now. She is giving away an Austin Eckler jersey and an Austin Eckler bobblehead doll. All that we're looking to do is get people subscribed to the channel, and we are like literally like got to be at least 10 or less people away right now. So we just need 10 more people to subscribe. So if you're one of those people that watches the channel, believe me, I'm guilty of this when I watch other people's channels. I don't necessarily subscribe. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, YouTube's algorithm, it's always going to show me like, when they pop up and everything like that. If you're not one of those people that subscribe, if you can subscribe to the channel, and I believe you got to retweet Jen Mills' tweet, you are entered into the drawing to get an Austin Eckler jersey or possibly an Austin Eckler bobblehead doll. Both are really freaking cool. Check out Jen Mills on Twitter. Her handle on Twitter is @JenniferMills21. Common spelling of Jennifer, Mills, MILLS 21, and go follow her on Twitter just because she's awesome. She does a lot of great things for the Charger community. She's constantly just going out of her way to do nice things. So, and this is just one of those things where she's giving away an Austin Eckler jersey. Just if we can hit 1,500 subscribers, we're at like 1,490 and the goal is 1,500. So we're like 10 or less away. So subscribe, retweet the tweet, and go follow her, Jennifer Mills 21 on Twitter. And last but not least, we've said it 1,000 times. I've been watching Twitter all day long, seeing everybody reach out to Karen, our number one fan. Karen loves sports, wishing her a happy birthday. And the amount of love going out to Karen is immeasurable. So Karen, happy birthday. I mean, you heard us all sing earlier, but we wanted to squeeze in one more time. Happy birthday. I hope you're having a great day. I've seen a lot of great goodies, a lot of great videos from other people that love Karen. And because she's just another one of those awesome Bolt fan people that just rocks. And we love her here at the Charger Chat Pod. So I think that's going to do it for us here at Charger Chat, folks. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place. Kid, love you. Bye.
And now, a word from our sponsors. Hi, I'm Charlie, and I'm a Chargers fan. For the longest time, I struggled with anxiety over the one thing Chargers fans hate most, Raider fans. But not anymore. Thanks to Fehoko Home Security, I never have to worry about another sleepless night. Studies show that Raider fans are the leading cause of 99% of crime. Fehoko Home Security alerts you when trouble strikes by playing a Haka chant, capable of making any Raider fan pee their pants. So call today and get your sense of security back now.